Welcome back to the Young Black Suburban. Today we have two very special guests. We have Blyweiss, former fighter, head coach at Five Stones Fight Club. We just went over that. And the CEO, Shane Manney. How you doing, guys?
Doing great, champ.
Good. I just wanted to start out by saying there's a little bit of history behind this podcast and how it came about to be. During COVID, about, I don't know how many episodes ago, probably 60 episodes ago, I had an idea of doing this. So 44 episodes released later, I have an opportunity to come and do an event with you guys and actually benefit, get compensated, and I'm sure many other things will come from that. So I'm thanking you guys for that opportunity, because it means a lot for something to come out of my head and to get an opportunity like this. It's like, that's what I live for. So thank you.
Yep, thank you as well.
So we talked about the event, but before we get into it, our viewers want to know more about you guys. Alan, you're a former fighter. Where did that journey start for you?
Journey started in Washington, D.C. When I was 7 years old. Started going to the gym and train. I was adopted, so being the only white kid in D.C., I used to have to leave school like 2:45 p.m. So when the bell rang at 3, I was already on the road running. Get home real quick. So my dad had enough of that one day and said, look, we're going to go to the gym where these kids are at. And that was Hillcrest Heights at the time. And went to Hillcrest Heights. Coach Vardell McCann brought me in, and I started training from there and had a great amateur career. After that, I signed at 17 with Bob Arum.
Okay.
I was adopted into a Jewish family.
Right.
So Bob Arum jumped all over that.
Right.
At 17, I got a 55.
What weight class were you?
I was 190, so I was a cruiserweight, but they had plans to get me up to be a heavyweight.
I got you.
Signed, got a large, extensive signing bonus, and then I stopped training. Started chasing the girls, getting invited to parties, had drugs put in front of me.
Right.
And I went 2, and Bob Arum locked my contract out. He said, you'll never fight again for these next 6 years. So, thank God at that time, there was a gentleman named Lee Penn. Lee Penn came along. He liked what he saw. He was working with a fighter named Warren Chico Thomason. Warren had fought Mike Tyson twice in the amateurs, and he was also Mike Tyson's lead sparring partner at the time.
Right.
So he said, we're going to take you up with Kevin Rooney, and we're going to get Kevin to start training with you. So started training with Kevin, had an opportunity to get some rounds in with Mike.
Yeah.
Chico was his main sparring partner, but Mike was, at that time, like 20 years old, just won the heavyweight, undisputed heavyweight champion. I was 17 years old. And it was, take it easy on the kids, stuff like that. But there's no such thing as take it easy when you're Mike Tyson in front of you.
Yeah.
So, worked out there. Then came back into boxing in 1990. After that, I got to camp with Vincent Bowe. Vincent Bowe was a cruiserweight champion in Pennsylvania. Okay. Met my wife there 31 years ago. Actually, when he was doing the signing, she brought her little brother over.
Okay.
And I met my wife there. Worked with Vincent for years, back and forth to Houston. And then the phone started ringing. I got a call in 91 to go back to Kevin Rooney's. Went back to Kevin's. Was doing well there. I was working with Jeremy Williamson.
Okay.
Hard hitting, 178 pounder out of the Olympics, and I became a heavyweight. Worked there, him and Terry Ray. Terry Ray was a cruiserweight champ, and I worked with Terry Ray as well. And again, the infidelity bug got in me. We were chasing girls up at camp, and Kevin came home from one of Jeremy's fights or one of the fighters' fights and decided to call our wives at 2 in the morning and let them know that we were messing around up there and it wasn't with our wives. So my wife actually kicked me to the curb, and like she should have. Had a son. She was pregnant with my daughter. And I kept on boxing. I was in the camps with many world champions. Lennox Lewis for 3 years. Grew up boxing Hasim Rockman. Went up to New England, was with Kevin McBride, but just no direction. Still no direction. Making great money. And about 19 years ago, my daughter wrote a letter to my father asking where her father was. And that was, like I said, 19 years ago, right before Thanksgiving. I came in, I found out my wife was divorced again, so I'm like, all right, got a second chance. Loving my life, but I was just stupid back then. I was a young boy.
Yeah, exactly.
And here it's been 20 years now, and I've been married to my wife, have all my kids back in my life, and got that second chance. So they all got to see a part of my boxing at the later years when I was with Kevin McBride when he was getting ready to fight Mike Tyson. I was out here in Philly, not too far, Joe Hand's gym. I was the heavyweight there. He was from Netherlands, Jimmy Thunder.
Oh, yeah, I know Jimmy Thunder from down under.
Jimmy Thunder from down under, Junior, right? Well, I was supposed to be a sparring partner for 6 weeks.
Right.
Well, we sparred one day. First day, so me and Lee Penn go back to the hotel, and I'm like, man, Lee, how was he hitting me with that right hand so much? Like, I know I was keeping my left up. And you say, champ, he didn't throw a right hand. That was his jab. I'm like, what? So I made up a story. I pretended like I called my dad. I pretended like my dad said his mother died. She's been dead 10 years.
Oh,
I had to call Joe Hand's gym and tell him, like, hey, my grandma died. I can't be in camp. I got to go home.
Wow.
That man hit so hard, and I don't know if it was I just wasn't in shape, but that man hit so hard. There was no way that little $1,100 a week was going to be enough for me to take that every night for 6 weeks. So,
but, so you made a career out of being a sparring
absolutely.
partner. $1,100 a week.
Back then, and your dad can tell you, and other fighters will tell you, in the 90s, it was easy, $1,000 to $2,000 a week. They paid room and board.
Exactly.
They paid your food. But the downfall was these champions didn't know that was coming out of their purses.
Yeah.
They weren't telling these guys that. Their massages, their new cars they wanted. Okay, champ. New jewelry. Okay, champ.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's where being a sparring partner now has changed. I'm now a sparring partner for these former champs. Not in the ring, but in life. A lot of these guys are going through things. They've lost their name. They can't go out there. Like, people don't remember them. And trying to make those guys get recognition back. Let these guys get some help, because these guys are struggling out there.
Right, exactly.
These guys are really struggling.
Definitely. We've seen it all the time. We all know what happened with my father and Don King. Mm-hmm. He's one out of how many people that just Don King ripped off.
Everyone Don King touched.
I like to tell people though that that's the business all around. Sometimes I interview musicians where they have to go through that as well. It's another dirty business. You have this organization now though, Five Stones Fight Club. You told me that our man Shane here is a big part of it. Where did you come into the situation here?
Well, I met Alan probably about 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
And I can't remember how we got hooked up. I think it was through your father-in-law.
Yep.
Right. And so we had a MMA gym. It's a mixed martial arts gym actually. It's
okay.
Boxing. Right. The whole premise behind the gym was basically using the combat sports as a way to build relationships and then share the gospel. So that's kind of our whole thing. So the gym itself, we had I was coaching some of the boxing, but we had like I said, we had 2 or 3 solid boxers at the time, and then when Alan came in, ran a practice the one day, and we're like, "Yo, please stay." So he did, and rest is kind of history. Now we've been just off and on different things. Life things have come up where he took a leave of absence for a little bit, do some health
struggle with some health issues, with some addiction issues.
Okay.
A lot of fighters go through, but they were always there. They always were checking on me. They'd always come visit me in the hospital. And then one day they just about 8 months ago said, "Hey, just come on and visit." And I went in there and visited, and I felt that Holy Spirit hit me hard and knew like God was saying, "This is where you need to be.
Right.
We have it ready for you." And my health has been amazing since then. I can get up every day and get to the gym.
Right.
I can use what I still have left, and when I get tired, it's tough. But I just ask God to just give me the strength to do it.
How old are you now?
54.
You had to think about that.
Yeah, I do struggle with numbers.
Okay.
Speech, just the short term. Like I'll walk out of a room, Junior, and then I'll forget what I walked out the room to go get. Right. And, those are my struggles.
Right. And so for the people that are watching, you just had a really good intro speech right there, and you can't really tell that you're suffering from any illness. Do you want to explain to us, what's going on with you?
I've been diagnosed with what they call pugilistic dementia. It is punch drunk syndrome.
Right.
I'm not going to get all of the fancy letters that they try to make it, they try to do, but I've basically been hitting the head too much that it affects my speech, it affects my gait when I walk. I've had to have numerous surgeries. My neck is completely restructured with Jacob's ladder. My elbows had to have tremendous surgeries, our hips, and I just struggle every day, the pain. But again, it's something that when I found myself back in a gym that has that atmosphere, my pain started going away, you know? And when I see all these kids that I'm touching and changing all these kids' lives already, and just my testimony, it makes it easier.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I have a purpose again. Yeah. And a lot of it was, depression fighters go through.
Oh, definitely. And I wanted to get into that because did you ever have any other kind of job besides boxing? So
I didn't get out of the 8th grade. So I had no education. Which is why I push the education to these kids.
Right.
And boxing is different than like football and these other sports. You go to school, you're a great athlete, you get a scholarship.
Right.
You go 4 years, you get a degree.
Yeah.
Boxers, we come off the streets.
Yeah.
We don't go to school. We don't go to college. Not that many ever has. They get these careers, and then when they find out their careers are over and they don't have any more money, they got to revert back to what they're used to doing as kids, and that's why these guys are getting back in trouble when they get back to doing. They don't have money, and it's tough. And
you touched on some really good points because I'm trying to teach some of my fighters the discipline that you need to succeed in the sport. And I've had to recently say, don't listen to me about how to throw a jab and a cross and not listen to me about staying away from women or what to eat or what to do. It's a total package for a fighter. You can't just be fighting. It's more than that. And I think that when you spend your whole life doing that and then it's over, that's when a lot of people get that depression that sets in. You don't have that routine anymore. You don't have that structure, that purpose even to do it. And some of us, we find it back in the sport. So I'm glad that you guys got together and that you're forming this, because if it wasn't for this gym, I might be at McDonald's or something. I don't know. And so I see a little bit of myself in you.
Changing lives. And that's what it's about, champ. Look, there's only 1 in a million champs out there. Everybody thinks it's so easy. We're going to pad our records. We're going to do this. Man, it's the generations have changed now. And that's why we got to make these kids champs. We got to make these kids champions in life, give them a purpose, teach them responsibilities. There's 90% of these guys out there wouldn't know how to balance a checkbook.
No, exactly.
The life skills we need to teach while we're teaching this as well.
Right.
And to hear you say that is just awesome, because I have such a problem with anybody can pay $78, become a USA boxing coach.
Yeah.
Because they can pass a background, and now they're dealing and teaching a sport that is very, very dangerous.
Dangerous and intricate.
Very.
And like you said, there's no pension, there's no college for us. You need somebody there that maybe has suffered from it a little bit to make it easier for that person. So you being in the position that you are is great. What kind of programs do you guys have at the gym?
So the one thing that's really awesome about the way this has worked with Alan is we have a lot of people that come in and out of addiction that come in through their doors, right? So there's a couple different organizations. Jubilee used to be what was known as Crossroads, U-Turn for Christ. There's a couple different places that kind of send people down to us. And so it allows for that one-on-one connection and where you can share the relational things that's more than just boxing or more than just, weight training or whatever. So it allows for that personal relationship to be built where actually you can have those hard conversations. And that's one thing. We have the after-school boxing club. And Alan gets the opportunity. He's the head coach, so he kind of oversees the program. But we have that where we have, I don't know how many we got, like 6 or 8 right now. Guys that are actually training for fights, USA Boxing through USA Boxing. But so it gives them the opportunity then to come off the street, right, and kind of find their niche. And you talked about purpose, right? That's one thing I think the entire world is kind of missing right now. We have 5 things we address, right? Identity, purpose, calling, training, and on mission. And that basically means if you don't know who you are, you're going to feel lost, right? So the way we understand that and teach that is we're made in the image of God, right? So you have intrinsic value. God made you, knit you together in your mother's womb before you were born. He knew you, so He's got a plan for you, right? So the purpose of your life is to glorify God. Now you do that through your calling. The use of your talents, gifts, and abilities. For some, it's right here or right here, right? And then so when you understand what your calling is, you still got to train, right? I mean, you can't just walk into the ring and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here now." Exactly. You can do that. It doesn't end
it's not going to end well.
Exactly.
So, and then we talk about being on mission. So an on mission can look like a ton of things, right? It could be a coach. It could be a mentor. For our guys, we push the fight side of things. But the gym also then gives an avenue where they can serve locally, regionally, and internationally. So we do local missions with food distributions. We have like a little food bank that we hand out food. We do community meals. The regional stuff is for disaster relief. So like hurricanes, natural disaster, floods. We send all the guys that are in training. Some of the guys are like, I'll go. And we get to send them down, get them engaged, helping someone else. And then internationally, we do mission work in Iraq, Syria, and Iran. Like we're in some places that most people won't go.
Exactly.
And so we're trying to go on vacation to Iraq this fall.
You're going on vacation. Okay.
So I can't be boxing those guys. They'll be carrying guns and stuff like that. I don't know if these 2 things are going to work.
Maybe there's a nice beach or something.
Well, there's lots of sand.
Sand behind the mountain.
But what we didn't mention about your gym though is that it's a nonprofit.
That's correct.
And that's different than what my gym is. I've started a business, a for-profit business, where I'm not allowed to. I do have a nonprofit as well, Witherspoon Community Initiative, but we're not allowed to intertwine.
Right.
You guys started your gym as a nonprofit. How do you feel that being a nonprofit helps you as a gym and helps you actually with your funding? Yeah, so it kind of gives it a little bit of an elevated status, if you will, in certain people's eyes, right? Because they look at it and be like, oh, I can give to this and I can get my name on a plaque or what I mean, advertising, whatever. But it also gives them a tax write-off. So there's some benefits to that, right? But it also the good thing about it is the guys that come in through the doors that are like, hey, I'd like to help, they usually have a heart of gold and they're not looking for the gold. Right. So I think that's kind of one of the big things really that kind of helps us stand out a little bit, as a nonprofit. Right. And you guys got a lot of traffic up there.
Oh yeah, it's actually I had to get three assistant coaches just because it's getting so much to where boxing, is just taking over.
Right.
But we have like jiu-jitsu classes. There's kickboxing. We have wrestling classes.
Right. Do you have any competition in your area? Is there another gym?
There's other boxing gyms, absolutely. We're right in between Harrisburg. We're an hour and a half out of Philly, an hour and a half out of Baltimore. So my more seasoned guys, I take them to Philly, take them to Baltimore for sparring.
Okay, cool.
Top level sparring everywhere we want.
Right, and we mentioned the event. I've been saying that it's in Hershey, but on the flyer It's
Yes.
in another
Palmyra.
location, Palmyra,
Yeah.
So I'm not really familiar with the area.
About 15 minutes outside of Hershey.
Okay, and that's where Five Stones.
Five Stones Fight Club is actually in Annville, PA.
Okay.
And see, when we say little towns like that,
Yeah,
people
I
don't
don't
know. So
know.
we say that's
Close to
15 minutes
Yeah.
from Hershey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're between the fight, the event, and where all you champs and everyone are staying
Right.
is literally within 10 minutes of Hershey.
Okay.
And everybody knows Hershey. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
that's why we, you know, I probably use the name Hershey. And everything instead of Hershey. But yeah.
Like when I'm out of town, I say I'm from Philly, but I'm
Right.
in Bristol.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And people know that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the big event. I know you have a fall brawl, right? That's the name of your
Fall
amateur boxing show. I'm hoping to get some of my guys on there if we can.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many guys you already have. You say you have 8 guys already. So.
Yeah, but it's going to be a big card. So we were originally saying like 18 top fights, but it looks like it's going to be about 24.
Wow.
But I can still do it in the same time as the time frame. Because
Okay.
a lot of the juniors are only a minute and a half rounds.
Right.
So they'll go by quick. So we got more
You
of
gotta
those.
make sure you have an intermission because
Oh, yeah, well, we
you
got
gotta have my dad's name called or he might.
Oh, look. Your dad's got special guest. He's actually going around to all the VIP tables. Is going to sit with the VIP sponsors for like it's 20 tables. So every 2 fights, Pops is going to be moving around to different tables.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, your dad's getting that. Look, your
Took
dad
the
is
opportunity to get that one in there.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we send you a check on that.
So you're saying you have maybe about 24 fights.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got contract Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, your father. We have Mickey Ward, Vinny Paz, Iceman Scully,
Right.
Sugar Ray Seals, I ran Barkley, Craig Houck. We have Marlon Starling.
Right.
Another champ, Vince Pettway, that just celebrated. This is a shout out for Vince. Happy anniversary yesterday, Vince. He just won the title when he knocked out Simon Brown and went down as one of the most best knockouts in boxing history.
Wow.
And that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
17 years ago yesterday, or that was his anniversary yesterday on the 27th or 17th. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, see, that's where that's that punch trap. I feel like I just cracked open one right now.
And we'll talk about that some more in a little bit because there's a lot to it. We were talking before the podcast, but I really want to get the fall brawl out there. You know, so it's going to be in the hotel.
No, it's actually going to be at In the Net Sports Complex in Palmyra.
All right.
Huge dome, lighting, air conditioning. Well, it's going to be in the fall, so I mean fans blowing, nice cool evening. We're going to be in there. It holds about, we could do 7,000 in there if we wanted to use the whole field, but we really want to we have a very nice entrance set up for all the champs to be coming through. We got really nice setups for, both corners of fighters. So they got plenty of room to warm up.
Right.
We wanted to make it seem like a big sports festival like they do for the national tournaments.
Nice.
And then bringing the kids in Friday night, we're going to be having a private dinner where the kids that are coming in to compete are going to come in, hang out with all the world champs. It's going to be a more intimate night on Friday night. If people want tickets, that's $100 a plate, but we're limited to 2 seatings at 2 times, so 200 tickets, first come, first serve. They pay at the door.
Okay.
But we will have to turn around after that 100 tickets sold. They have an opportunity to come to the second seating, and they would be lined up immediately for the second seating. So, but that's going to be a more intimate night where the champs are going to be telling their stories. We're going to be talking about 5 stones. Riddick Bowe may have some special things where actually your father is bringing Mitch Green with him, and Mike Tyson and Mitch Green are going to make amends after all the incidents they had, and that alone is going to be just huge in the boxing industry just to see that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're going to do silent auction where all the champs are going to sign an autographed glove and pictures, and we're going to do a silent auction where all the money is going to go to John Scully's foundation. And Friends of the Champ. That's a new foundation with the Ira Barkley thing, nonprofit, to help, again, fighters out there that are struggling with the things that we go through.
Right. So you have a 2-day event. I'm sure you guys are getting stressed a
Oh
little
my
bit.
goodness. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Training camp has begun.
Yeah, I know. So
Training camp has begun.
do you guys do your own matchmaking, or how does that work?
I do all the
matchmaking as well. Wow.
This has definitely brought all the facets of boxing and things I've done in boxing back together. But I've been knocking it out of the sky. Again, it's just, I give it all to God for real, because at junior, I've tried it every other way.
Right.
And man, I'm being blessed by a better thing, and it's coming easy.
Right.
I'm not having sponsors, sponsors don't call you. You got to call
Yeah,
sponsors.
exactly.
We're having sponsors calling us now, wanting to
Nice.
sponsor the show. So
Yeah.
it's been a blessing, and it's all just started with just throwing around, hey, let's have a boxing event, and Shane saying, hey, call Tyson, see if he come.
Right.
And we did, and he will.
Wow.
And then we're like, okay, now we got to put it together.
Yeah.
So the matchmaking is going to be begun, but looking through all the lists, we got some great guys coming out of Philly, coming out of your gym.
Right.
So we got some talent from Philly, some talent from Baltimore, some talent from Indiana that's coming out. So we're gonna have some really good matches.
Yeah.
We have a couple number 1s and 2s in the nation in different weight classes, fighting number 3s and 4s.
Nice.
So a lot of
good fights.
a lot of
Sounds
trilogy
really
fights
great.
are getting ready to happen. So and the word is, in this little area of Pennsylvania, everywhere you go, everyone knows it's coming.
I don't know if they're ready for it.
No, that's what we laugh at. I just had to call the local little township, police department and all that, and let them know what was happening to handle something at this caliber. But we're going to be that. We have a private security firm that's going to be coming out to do things. We have a suit designer that's giving us suits.
So I should bring a suit. Yeah, I have to. I already thought about that.
Yeah, we definitely want to look in your best.
I'll bring a suit.
Yeah, all right. That's what I'm talking
And
about.
so, that's October 28th.
8th is the private dinner, and the 29th is the fights. The
Yeah.
doors open at 3 p.m. First fight will start at 4.
Right.
And we'll finish probably around 9 o'clock.
So it's a private dinner, but people can purchase
Tickets at the door.
At the door. Okay. And the fights are open to the public, obviously.
Right. And that's all those ticket sales can be done right online if they go to our website.
Right.
See,
Well, what we'll do is we'll get your information for that, and we'll put it right on the podcast, so people can see it. Let's go back a little bit to you about your brain injury and things like that. Do you remember when you first started to have the effects of pugilistic dementia?
My wife would be better tell you, but in 2016, she started seeing differences in my behaviors, my speech, confusion. And we went to Johns Hopkins, did all the testing, had a PET scan, and it showed that I had the tau protein building up on the not frontal part of my lobe, my left frontal lobe. So that's just this part of your brain. It's a separate section from the center. And numerous concussions. And so I definitely had been diagnosed with onset dementia, pugilistic dementia, which is basically the punch drunk syndrome,
Right.
and early onset Parkinson's.
Okay.
So now I'm treated with Parkinson's meds. The downfall is, though, when the brain is damaged on your side lobes and the punch drunk, those are the sides that affect your heart. So I've had 3 heart surgeries. I had to my heart's in great shape. It's from all the training, but it's from the brain damage, so they had to put a pacemaker defibrillator in. And my heart stops at times, and you feel it shot back into place.
Wow.
But that's all from the brain damage.
Yeah.
So, I've had a lot of falls and injuries.
Yeah.
So it's a battle, but I'm blessed. My wife's a nurse. Again, I just can't say it enough. Since I walked back in the day of Five Stones Fight Club and ministry, I feel great. I feel great. I don't take the meds I used to take, all the opioids, all that stuff I was addicted to for years.
I was going to ask you, was that your issue?
That was my addiction.
Right.
And you know what? And it wasn't anything but what the doctors wanted to give me, kept pushing them on me, telling me, oh no, you need them, you need them, you need them. Yeah. And then when I made some big life choices and the medications I changed, things got different.
So I'm listening to you tell this story, and then in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy went through all this with no health insurance from boxing. You know, he went through all this with no way to go to a psychologist or a therapist from boxing. When the boxing was over, you didn't have a pension. You didn't have a savings. You didn't have any of that. No. So, you know, I have viewers of all kinds of people. You know, and they know I do a lot of people that come from the boxing world, but they don't really get to see someone and see, wow, he gave his life to a sport, and the sport just spit him out.
I made over $3 million as a sparring partner over my career, and then I ended it with not a pot to piss in.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. But now we're here.
Yeah.
You got Shane looking buff next to you.
Shane's working on getting me looking buff too.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna ask. Are you a trainer as well? Or do you like boxing yourself?
I do. Yeah, my dad taught me to box when I was about 10 years old. He boxed in the Marine Corps.
Okay, nice.
And his favorite punch is punching to the throat.
That's because I can't reach their face.
Nice.
But yeah, so I mean, I grew up boxing. Me and my dad would spar down in the basement. My mom would sit on the steps with a cup of coffee and cheer us on.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's kind of my whole background is that, you know, it's sport related. So
okay, yeah. Well, did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Lancaster Bible College.
Okay.
So let me back up. So first,
please.
Out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years.
Okay.
I was in the infantry. That's where I picked up jiu-jitsu. So I wrestled since I was 5. Picked up boxing when I was too old to spank, I always say. My dad, we had a 10x10 wrestling mat in our basement, and my dad's like, "Go get the gloves," you know, and we go down, we bang around for hours, and my mom would sit and watch, you know, and it was fun. Even when I went to when I graduated high school originally, I went to Bloomsburg University first, and my dad worked there, so at lunch break we'd meet in the mat room, the wrestling mat room at the university, and we'd box there over his lunch break.
Right. Gosh.
So I mean, yeah, it was great. But then, like I said, I graduated from Lancaster Bible College.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where this whole idea of Five Stones started. Was actually my wife and I had a conversation around dinner, and one day we're standing out in our yard, and I'm like, man, there's 40-some people training in my yard. I should probably get a place, right? So that's kind of how the whole thing began. And from there, I mean, you have guys from all walks of life coming, like we were saying, you know, and a lot of them, I'll say they struggle with legitimacy, meaning like they're trying to prove something either to themselves or to someone else, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's that identity thing we talked about before. But the cool thing about boxing or wrestling or any combat sport itself is you walk in and it's a show me sport. You can talk forever, but let's see what happens.
Exactly.
But that gives you the opportunity though, where you're sharpening each other and you can have those hard conversations.
Right.
You know? Because I mean, we always say nothing says love like a punch in the face, right? So when we're done, what do? You hug it out. Hey, good job. You know, whatever. So it kind of builds a bond through that suffering,
right?
Where you can have those hard life conversations. Hey, man, I see you doing this. I'm not thinking this is a good idea, you know. And so you can get into their lives a little bit more. But but that's kind of my background. So
Shane's been a police officer as well.
Oh yeah,
he's got that side. Wow. And my side is being on the streets since I was 9 in Southeast DC.
He was gonna lock you up.
Right, exactly. But it gives us both that side that these kids will listen. You know,
right? Exactly.
Kids nowadays are not going to listen. They don't listen to anybody really anymore. But you know, unless you've lived it or walked it, that's what these kids need.
Yeah, definitely.
And it really, you know, I try to teach them from the mistakes I made, and that's what we do as fathers. That's what we're supposed to do as mentors, and that's why I'm giving it to you and what you're doing here You're changing people's lives.
The one thing though, I feel like I'm turning into my father. I'm doing the way I'm
change genetics, champ. That's one thing.
The way I'm lecturing these kids, I'm like, oh my god, that was me.
But that comes from your heart, though.
Yeah.
And that's why you do it.
And now I'm thinking, damn, man, I gave my dad a hard time a lot.
Oh my gosh, right?
And now you're realizing how wise he was.
Yeah, how wise he was. You know, with most of the things, you know, and I also see how some of these kids and even adults can have a block where you can tell them until your face turns blue and it doesn't register, you know. And you still try to get through them and get through to them, and all you can do is just offer a place for them to come after that. And some people are going to make their own, you know, decisions. But I do find myself just lecturing a lot.
You're coming from you're a son of a world champion.
Yeah.
And think of this. This is what I tried to say to you earlier. It's easy to ride and use a dad's name. My dad was a champ. But you're making a name for yourself now as Witherspoon Jr. You're not making it as your name because you're the son's champ.
Exactly.
You're making it now because of what you're giving back. And you're giving back what you know.
You
know boxing. You know people.
This,
your dad never did this. Come on, we didn't have this back in our time.
No, he didn't.
You know, even though he's a great speaker.
He sits right where you sit sometimes. He wants to do it every week. He wants to be on the show.
And that's what we saw. It was at Deer Lake. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And that was great there. It was a blessing to be able to sit there and watch you guys interact together as father and son, man. That's a big thing.
And you went and said, you know, I'm making a name for myself, but I'm also making the Witherspoon name, period, you know, go farther, you know, and we're known more for the just boxing now, you know, we're known as businessmen now, we're known as community leaders, and, you know, that's one of my motivations, you know, I understand that you guys have like a religious background and everything. Mine was more on the social, economic, motivational thing where I thought like, you know, little black kids seeing somebody like me do positive things would be a good positive role model, you know, for them. Also, little white kids seeing me do this would be, I was trying to affect, you know, people through just doing good work. Sounds like we're doing the same thing.
Believe it or not, we serve the same God.
Here's the thing. I believe. When we do things out of love, right? And that's got to be the motivation, right? You love the people that come through your door, right? And God is love, right? So, and that's one part that we, especially usually as men, sometimes we struggle with, right?
Definitely.
You know, but when guys know that you love them, they will be willing to come looking for that soft spot to land because there's humility. Then will come back and be like, "You're right, man. I jacked that up. Can you help me?" All those conversations, right, will come back, and they'll come back around.
When I turned to Christianity, I got more hugs from men than ever. I'm like thinking, man, one more man hugs me, I'm knocking him out, man. I'm not doing this hugging stuff. But it's true, I feel it, man, because I'm seeing so many other people that struggled like I have and walked like I have completely turned their life around, and for no other reason but God. So you're doing that stuff in that conscious way, and that is a great thing you're doing. That's God's moving you, champ.
Definitely.
That's God moving you, and you're going to be doing bigger and better things because God sees you doing this as a servant.
Definitely, I believe in that too. You just said that you turned to Christianity. How long ago?
I've always known Christianity. God was there. I was adopted into a Jewish family. I went from having my bar mitzvah to being locked up from 13 years old to 15 in juvenile jail. So, holding my mother knife point, wanted to kill her for 16 hours because of all the abuse she put me through as a baby. So, I forgot what the question was. I'm sorry.
I said you turned to Christianity.
Oh yeah, it's always been there, but it's honestly it was the day I walked back into Five Stones gym. Is when I made a change in my life. I believed in God. I started walking that way, but I started changing the music I listened to, the shows I watched. Don't look at porn anymore. Like, you know, I'm married. That's my wife. I have daughters. Like, it just was no good. When I changed my life and really started making those walks, I just started seeing so many changes. So I'm definitely one of those that, man, you got to prove it to me before I say something. I got to see big miracles happen in my life, and I shouldn't have been that way because they were there all the time.
Right.
I just never recognized it.
Yeah. So
never recognized it.
Shane came and just washed over you, huh?
I don't have many people that are younger than me that I look as a mentor, but Shane and his partner Joel has always been mentors of mine, just because these guys have lived the way they said they've lived since they were kids, and I respect that. Yeah. Because life is tough.
Right, definitely. Now you made it this far, I never say, that it's over. Every day we're waking up and we're fighting our own struggles. But you seem to be in a very good place, and
absolutely,
a good place. Do you find it that you can enjoy the sport of boxing now at the place that you're in? Like, I'm talking about watching it, not coaching it. We're always gonna love that.
Right.
But I'm talking about like watching the business and seeing
it's
new
tough.
fighters coming up.
I just working with some of these guys. Like, I've worked so many corners and never threw a towel. And I look at boxing differently now. I had one fighter that got a few standing 8 counts in his amateur fight, and the ref stopped it, and he got really upset. But what I had to tell this young man is my hand was reaching back with a towel in it, getting ready to step on the canvas and throw the towel in, because I could not sit there and see this kid take these shots.
Right.
It has. It really has. But what has made me more is on fire to get with people like you, your father, and all these other guys out there that are trying to do something to change it. And that's what I want to fight for now and be a part of.
That's a fight that's been happening for a while. A lot of the fighters in the 80s were done really bad. A lot of them will be at your event.
Absolutely.
And it's just been very, very hard to get a union, or get something like that.
Never going to see a union.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, what do you think is a proper way to attack this problem?
We need to get attorneys like they did with the NFL, and we need to go after these big promoters, and we need to make laws, which Governor McCain was doing it before he passed. Yeah. But we need to make laws to where these big promotional companies are taking percentages of these purses and of these multi-million dollar pay-per-view events, and are putting it towards a retirement fund or towards a fund for disabled fighters to help them with medical bills, to help them get the right treatment. That would make a change in itself. And, they're still making the big paydays, they're still doing the big events, but nobody is still helping the guys that really made boxing what it is today.
Need to tighten it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it needs some more security.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you guys have pro and amateur boxers?
We have a few pro fighters, and we have mostly amateur fighters.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I much rather work with the amateur fighters, get these guys.
That's the point I was trying to get to, because the common person doesn't know that there's a big difference between professional fighting and amateur boxing. So you already answered the question. You prefer the amateur circuit over professional. You want to explain why?
I've been burned by too many pro fighters now. These pro fighters aren't the same. They're not getting burnt, but they're burning everybody else.
I got you.
I'm tired of training guys that are going to go into a fight and get knocked out in the first round and lay down just to get a paycheck. It's embarrassing. I'm tired of seeing a guy that calls himself a professional boxer but doesn't train in the gym like the way they're supposed to. These amateurs are hungry. These amateurs are willing and want to fight all the time. And these amateurs are the ones that are listening. They're younger. It's that generation to where you can reach them there.
Yeah.
Some of these older guys that are pros, they're in their own ways, and you can't change them.
Right.
You can't change them. So never will I not work with another pro boxer, but those pro boxers will be developed out of our program.
Right.
So it's a relationship, and you know how that works. I mean, a lot of these trainers and relationships, the trainers will end up being the managers because they've guarded these kids throughout their whole amateur career.
Exactly.
So that's where we look at doing with our fighters. But again, it's really making the young men and what we do out there in other places and other gyms, and love. I'm gonna guess probably in the next couple of weeks, get out here with our guys and just come on out here and spar and
That'd
get
be
some
great.
work together.
That'd be great.
We have such a great facility here.
Thank you. So we are getting close to the end of our podcast, but I just want to go over the event one more time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we didn't even get into my part in the event.
Yes.
So I'm going to be there shooting, just like we're doing now. Why don't you explain?
On Friday night, our private dinner, I've spoke to like Irish Mickey Ward, John Scully, Vinny Paz, Riddick Bowe. These are all guys that just want to sit down and talk with you too.
That's crazy,
get their
man.
stories out. And we're talking to Mike. He's actually doing a suit deal for us. So if he's doing that, his wife Kiki's pretty much handles his affairs.
Right.
And we'll have him sit down. Do the Mitch Green thing maybe after they make amends to sit down with the two of you.
I'll pick the mic up and
there you go. We're just walking around while they're interviewing. But just trying to open the door for you.
Yeah, I
you're
appreciate
doing
it,
such
man.
great things as a young brother here, man, in Philly, and man, that's what's got my heart, man.
I appreciate
seeing you do good things. So you're going to be there, and you'll be there at the event as well.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to do podcasts, but we really want to get your work done on Friday because I want you to be able to sit back and enjoy the event as well.
We're there
but
to
you're
work.
there to work.
We're there to work.
That's right.
We might not get everybody on Friday.
Yeah, and then you'll have Saturday as well.
Saturday, or maybe we can set it up in the hotel before the event.
Yeah, we're bringing these guys in on Thursday, which I need to let you know too. That'll be one change. We're gonna bring in the guys a day early. That way, we just want everyone in on Thursday. That way, we know everyone's in on Thursday. We make
no travel issues.
Do our pay things on Thursday
too.
Yeah, if you guys can.
I don't know, Jordan.
I mean, if again, you guys are fine coming in the day of.
Yeah.
I mean, that Friday's fine too.
We'll figure it out.
But
definitely. So we have a personal private dinner, all these, and you said Barkley. I already got him. It would be good to see him again.
Marlon Starling.
So he was at Ali's camp, but I didn't get to interview him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those guys, Mickey Ward, I'm looking forward to. Like, good.
Irish Mickey Ward. He's got a lot of fans over there. Like, a lot of people calling about Irish Mickey Ward.
It's going to be great. And then I'll get to see your talent from your gym the next day.
Absolutely. We're going to have a few of our guys on. I'm only going to be cornering two of them, but it's all right.
Chill.
I want to make sure everything's going good for everybody.
How that is.
Absolutely. It's going to be an epic event. It really is.
I'm looking forward to it. So Fall Brawl,
October 29th.
29th.
At In the Net in Palmyra. Doors open at 3 p.m. First fight's at 4.
Nice. Now, at the very end of my show, I give my guests an opportunity to spread a message. I'm going to give you guys a chance to freestyle, I call it, because I put people on the spot and I say, this is your chance to tell the world whatever you want to tell them. It doesn't matter what it is. Shane, you go first.
Yeah, no problem. So one thing, man, there's a ton of things, obviously, but I think through our conversation, the family, right? The family structure has never been more important than it is today. We have young men who are in search or in need of a father figure. We have families who need to be led. And, God has a design, and the world is chipping away at that design. Now, I will say this. Your job, our job, is not to be the family structure, but it is to give the example of what a man should be like. Right? How to lead with humility, how to lead with grace, right? How to love, those around you to make the impact. Because we talk about discipline. You can't have discipline without love. Otherwise, it's just abuse. Right? And so when we look at the world around us, strong families, right, create a strong community. Strong community makes strong churches. Strong churches make strong believers who will go change the world in the name of God. That's kind of where my heart's been as of late. So that would be, for one thing, man, protect your family, protect that structure, and love people the way that God told you to love people.
Nice, Shane. Alan.
Ooh.
you got a hard act to follow.
I was gonna say I was gonna keep mine short and simple.
Nah,
Sorry.
you gotta preach, brother.
So can't say it enough. Anybody and everybody that knows me, knows my story, knows it's God. Nobody can change it. Nobody could argue that. God is good all the time. You make changes. You can't just ask God to change your life. It's not that easy. You need to make a walk, make a true commitment. Get out there and talk to somebody that knows about God. Just get out there, ask questions, look things up. But with God, anything's possible. And I'm a living, walking testimony of that. Nice. So keep all this hate in this world's got to stop. We just need to love each other again and just know that we all serve the same God. And that's all I got.
Good. Guys, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It means a lot. We
We
got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. All right, that's the Young Black Suburban. We got Shane Manney, Alan Blyweiss, 5 Stones Fight Club. That's like a tongue twister for me.
Yeah, say that 5 times.
If you guys like what you saw today, please like, share, and subscribe to Young Black Suburban. See you guys on the next one.
Hit that share.